Johannesburg's Everard Gallery is hosting Daniel Naude's latest exhibition, A Decade of Seeing. It charts his journey from photographic portraits of dogs and sacred cattle to wild bowerbirds and was captured over a decade of travel across 3 continents.
Photographer Daniel Naude's latest exhibition, A Decade of Seeing, celebrates his visual journey. It also includes pieces from his most recent project that he did in collaboration with President Cyril Ramaphosa. So let us open our eyes and prepare to be enlightened.
His coffee table book, Animal Farm, documents the Africanis dog and their place in our landscape.
On the day, what does it take to capture this moment? What are the lengths you have to go through?
I always tell people that I think when I get older, I won't be able to run after animals anymore. So I see this as a very much a youthful project. The dogs were skittish, they ran around. Some were completely wild, and I was running around with a medium format film camera, so it was intense. And I mean, specifically this work took about 4 or 5 hours. It was raining, the light only gives you so much minutes and hours, and the weather also plays a role. So there's so much factors involved when you produce works of art and photography.
From dogs, this Stellenbosch arts graduate moved into photographing cattle in societies where the animals are revered as more than livestock. He then chronicled bird life down under.
On this side, you get a very important project. It was a series of bowers that I photographed in the rainforest of Australia. A bird built this. It's a satin bowerbird. The bird is blue and is trying to impress the female. So what he does is he collects anything blue, human, man-made, and also natural. And then he perfects it like an artist, you know, crafting a sculpture. And so the female flies by and she sees, wow, this is quite impressive. This is nice. She gets attracted by it. And then the females would go stand in the middle of the bower and he will perform a dance. If the dance is successful, he can mate with her. So this is kind of a very much a reflection of what we are as human beings and things we collect that we might think that really shapes who we are.
In Madagascar, Daniel captured the Zebu cattle as part of the Bara people's ancestor worship. In India, his photographs depicted how the Brahmin see cows as divine, and in Uganda, how they are central to Bahima culture.
I always find these travels very much adventurous. You know, I go to Uganda and some mornings I get dropped off at a place at 4 in the morning and then I walk with herdsmen the whole day. Sometimes you get attacked by Ankole, sometimes there's snakes, there's other wild animals as well. So each project has its own story for how long I've stayed there and where I'm out in the wilderness producing these photographs.
The collaboration with President Ramaphosa has its roots in the story of how the president's father, Samuel Ramaphosa, had to leave behind his cattle herd in Venda to find work in Johannesburg. It weakened his links with his ancestral origins, and this book is part of restoring that lost legacy.
About 2 years ago, I received an email from him that was a shock for me, you know, and I thought this could not be true. And he asked if I do commissions or can we do a book together because I also have Ankole cattle. He said that he would do the writing of the book and I'll do the photographs. The main goal of the book was to welcome Ankole cattle in South Africa.
It took President Ramaphosa years to import them from Uganda with correct quarantine and special breeding requirements. But they are now established in the country.
A time came where we had to decide what is the name of the book. What are we going to call this book? The other name for Ankole cattle is called the Cattle of the Kings. And he said, Cattle of the Kings it is. This is the name of the book. The next day he phoned me and said he feels uncomfortable about it because these cattle, the Ankole cattle, does not just belong to kings, but it belongs to all people, every person. And so he said that let us call it the cattle of the ages.
Daniel has gone all the way with these cattle and owns a small herd himself. Beyond photography, the survival of the breed is at the heart of preserving the indigenous African values and symbolism so important to this artist.
This is our family farm, Yonder Hill. It's just outside Stellenbosch. It's actually a wine farm, but we have a couple of these beautiful Ankole cattle here as well.
I feel so privileged because I know this isn't a common sight.
No, it's not. I mean, there's not a lot of them in South Africa. You know, thanks to the president, South Africa has 100% wonderful, pure Ankole cattle today. And last year in Tabanyoni had an auction where I was very lucky enough to have bought some at the auction.
Daniel's photographs hang in the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles, and he's proud to have worked with the president on the even bigger cultural picture.
It was just an unbelievable journey and process working with him. Such a humble man, such a wonderful person and leader, and a great honor, to do this project together with him.
To see the full journey of Daniel's photography, you can catch A Decade of Seeing until the end of March at the Everard Gallery in Johannesburg.